Conversation is going round. People talking about the colors come to town. Fresh as a summer breeze, she'll take you by surprise.
Hi, welcome to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson, and our technical producer today is Jason Rumball. He's also chiming in throughout the show with his opinions, a few mm-hms and ahas, because that's the kind of show we're having today. Our guest is Carley Simandl. Carley is a holistic nutritionist and a holistic beautician. She will be talking to us about sun. Summer sun, how to protect yourself from a sunburn, how to use holistic methods to protect yourself from a sunburn, both from the outside with topical creams and lotions and from the inside with the foods that you eat. This is another fascinating episode of Fresh Waves. And joining us in the studio right now is Carley Simandl. Now, Carley, you've raced all the way down from Barrie. And I know at this time of the year there's this mass exodus from Stouffville of everybody going up north.
No
but you've
kidding.
come down to grace us this morning. Thank you so much for coming in.
I'm happy to be here.
How is it living in Barrie? It must be a nice place to live.
It really is. We've got a beautiful waterfront, and I was just saying that we have beautiful gardens, so I've been very fortunate this summer. Growing our own food is like growing money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually I found that it sort of doesn't work out to be any cheaper, but it's so good for you that it outweighs the extra work, and I don't even actually think of it as work. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to get grounded and reconnected with nature. And actually, I was watering my vegetables thinking, I need a filter on my hose. So I Googled it. The next thing, I had it delivered to my house from California. And so now I actually have a filter, because thinking about, some of the contaminants that can get into tap water. So I say that my homegrown garden is more than organic. It's biodynamic and, certified with love.
Oh, there you go.
That's great. That's so
and
important.
Plants do thrive when they're spoken to nicely and have
Absolutely.
a lot of positive energy around them. So
Yeah.
My garden, I actually put in a new garden this year, and it's right beside the ponds where there's some goldfish and frogs and things. So it's a great place to be. I love spending the morning out in my garden. I've got some kale.
Beauty.
Oh, I love kale.
Swiss chard, red and green.
Okay, never
Some
tried that.
beets, a couple of beans. They're really, really, really teeny at the moment, but I'm hoping that they grow.
Yeah.
And some really teeny tiny tomatoes that are green, but are hopefully on their way to becoming red. Nice tomatoes.
Actually, I just got a goji berry tree.
Oh, really?
Okay, what is it?
On sale at Bradford Greenhouse up in Bradford. And, goji berries in themselves are a super fruit.
Okay.
They are, I think by weight, about 30% protein or something insane. They are complete protein with all essential amino acids and bioflavonoids, carotenoids, your astaxanthin. So it's just an incredible thing, really. It grows in the desert, but it can grow anywhere. It's an adaptogen. So when you eat adaptogens or foods with adaptogenic qualities, then you yourself become more adaptable to climates and different, oxygen levels, for example, temperature shifts, even stress. We have to adapt to stressful situations commonly day to day. So these adaptogens help us moderate in all circumstances all the time. So we just planted the goji berry tree, so I'm super excited to see.
Now, will it actually grow here? Because I thought they came from warmer climate.
You know what, they do, but because they're such an adaptable species, they will survive anywhere. Hot, cold, high, low.
Really?
You can even grow them in sand.
Funny, because most of
Yes.
the ones you see in the supermarkets come from China.
True.
So I always thought that that's kind of the part of the world that they're from.
They are, but again, there's certain plants that have these qualities. Another one is the mulberry. A mulberry has such adaptive capacities, you can have them, again, like I said, in any altitude, any temperature, and not only will they survive, but they will thrive. And that says something to you about that property of the food and what it can do to our bodies and our cells.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
really
really cool.
neat.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to start off our top. Well, we started off with vegetables, but we're going to move from vegetables to sunscreen. What a topical topic for summertime.
Yeah, it's like to screen or not to screen,
Yeah,
right?
that's the question.
To screen, to block. How do we adapt to the sun? Personally, I'm not a big sunscreen fan. I'm more a fan of get out and enjoy the sun. Don't line it and bake in it, but do get out and enjoy it. Make some vitamin D. You know, there's good evidence to suggest that we don't do well without sunshine. And not just to look at it through a
right.
window, but to get out in it and play in it
Of course,
and have fun in it.
talking
So-
about thriving.
Exactly. So how do we deal with the summertime sun and weather stations reporting every day UV index of 8 or 9
Yeah.
or very
Yeah,
high?
that
Creating
scares you.
fear. It
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
Under a tree from 12 till 3.
That's right.
When from 12 till 3 is the best time of the day to make vitamin D. So all of us are low on
Yes.
vitamin D in North America.
That's right,
Maybe
yeah.
that's
and
why.
that's a fact. Yeah.
Very confusing. Yeah.
So how do we deal with the sun?
Yeah, so I think there's a few different approaches, and it depends on how technical and scientific we want to get. I can talk about some of the properties of a conventional sunscreen and how it actually separates.
Sure, might as well start at the beginning.
Well, it separates the UVA from its ultraviolet partner UVB. Okay? So,
Which one's bad?
well, it's a full spectrum. It really is. So UVB is where we convert vitamin D from.
Okay.
Okay, so UVB is more beneficial because we get vitamin D from the synthesis of that wavelength. But it is still partnered with the UVA. Now, UVB is also connected to the burn. So, when we burn, we want to look at it as the skin's defense mechanism saying, get out of the sun. It's our bodies need to process the sun up until a point. See, the saying, balance or moderation is key, and that the sun and our interaction with the sun is a perfect example of that. So when we do burn, absolutely not good. But it's also an indicator to remove yourself from the sun. So if we listen to our bodies in that sense, that's one thing that the conventional sunscreens do. They block the UVB. Therefore, we don't synthesize the vitamin D. We don't get that exposure, and we don't burn. Now, UVA is also linked to a degradation of the DNA of the skin cells. So more hyperpigmentation. You see women developing, men and women, but sunspots, dark spots. I think women complain about them more. But and you see that happening more evidently with age, and people call them sunspots. Well, that's DNA damage done by the UVA rays. And so basically my approach is, number one, I've taken the conventional sunscreen out because I do want to absorb the full wavelengths of the sun and protect myself from the inside out. And I always use topical products as well that are more natural. They don't bake the chemicals into the skin like the conventional sunscreen, as well as you do get the vitamin D exposure.
Right.
So
Now, what do you mean bake the sunscreen into your skin?
Okay, so for example, the pores are designed to open and close.
Yes.
And we are lined with trillions and trillions of pores. Now, there are certain stimulus that make the pores open and dilate. And that even creates, the blood vessels underneath the skin to also open up and flush and receive nutrients. So there's always a communication going on from our skin, what we're putting on the skin, the sun's rays to the skins, and how the pores are opening and closing. So when we put something on the skin that it likes, the pores will open.
Right.
The pores also open for heat.
Yes.
So when we go out into the sun, actually simultaneously, the trillions of pores all open as if to receive the seminal forces from the sun.
Right.
And convert the vitamin D. Now, even converting vitamin D, which is the sunshine vitamin, is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it takes about 12 to 24 hours to even be absorbed from the top layer of our skin into our bloodstream. So
it takes a little while.
that's another thing to consider here. That part of my sun practice is I will shower before the sun because I want to absorb on clean skin. Knowing that it takes about 24 hours to get in, I don't want to go wash off and exfoliate the top skin layers that are converting the vitamin D into the body. It's a very slow, think about oils on your skin and how they secrete in and out. And that's how you absorb vitamin D, through the sebum on your skin. So it's not like water. It doesn't just flow in. No. Oil is more viscous, right? Or less viscous. Viscous means thicker.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's slower
to absorb in.
That's right. So here's what I do. I have a shower. I exfoliate my skin. I go out. I use natural products like a red raspberry seed oil from Awaken My Senses. That one ingredient alone, the pressings from pure red raspberry seeds, give you an SPF of a 30.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. So it doesn't separate the UVA from the UVB. You still get the full spectrum.
Right.
It protects you for a certain amount of time because it's putting antioxidants on your skin that are helping your body convert the UVA and the UVB rays into harmless heat. And that's after that amount of time when your skin will burn. So again, part of the communication, everything in moderation, in and out of the sun, drinking plenty of fluids. If you're hydrated, chances are you will, much less likely that you will burn. It's when your cells are dehydrated and flattened that they're more likely to burn. So that's another thing to consider. You know, better choices when we're in the sun, as opposed to the pops and the coffees and the teas that could be a little bit more of a diuretic, that you do want to do spring water, infused water, you know, put some cucumber and mint leaves in your water. That becomes very bioavailable. That's going to stay into your body and hydrate you because you're putting, you know, natural electrolytes into the water. So, and that's a big part of it as well. You know me and my spritzes, Brenda?
Oh, yes. You always have your nice little spritzes that you spray right on the outside of your skin.
Yeah.
And they're in non-aerosol, usually glass containers. And Awaken My Senses, again, has a very nice, several of them that are quite nice.
And you choose the essential oil of your choice, or you make your own.
You make your own, yeah.
And, you know, I'll put a helichrysum essential oil, which also helps combat UVA, UVB, gives you a little bit of, protection topically. And so I'll just spritz myself periodically if I'm out there for longer than 20-minute periods of time. I'm constantly spritzing myself. And, you know, sometimes I get good looks and sometimes I get curious looks. And those are the people that I'll always go over and spray them. And then the next thing you know, I have a new client.
So, what was the name of that essential oil?
Helichrysum.
Helichrysum.
Yeah. Wow. It's a little bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, that is one.
Yeah, it sounds like an odd religious cult, doesn't it?
I'll tell you, that's its Latin name.
Okay.
And it actually translates into the word immortal. So, immortality.
Yes.
And it brings that edge to the skin. It's got a lot of life force. It's anti-aging. So, it works, again, to protect the skin cells at a DNA level where the degradation, where the hyperpigmentations happen.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, all these natural remedies that we have right at our fingertips.
That's right. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, the earth has it all there for us. We just have to know how to use it.
Right.
We've come so far away from using what's right in front of our faces. Red raspberry oil.
That's right. Red raspberry seed oil.
Okay, all right.
So not the juice of the raspberries. It's going to make you all sticky and every,
That's right.
insect known to mankind is going to be attracted to you.
Yeah, look
it's
out.
the seed oil.
That's right. And it does smell quite nice. I do get an undertone of raspberry, so there's a little bit of a sweet, subtle aroma that comes with it. And I actually don't know if it attracts the bugs yet, but I do have a few all-natural bug repellents.
Just in case,
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're putting on a whole smorgasbord on top.
Yeah.
Jay, this has been an enlightening conversation,
It sure has, yeah.
Now, you've had a little bit of a battle with skin cancer.
That's right.
Every time you get a patch, you get it chopped off.
You get it chopped off, yeah, so wouldn't that be quite the sight?
So now that you're hearing all of this from Carley, do you think that you might change your diet a little bit to
I think so, just thinking of all these
some
different things, like all stuff that I've never heard of before that's not part of my diet, and I think I truly believe that, the sun is a natural, thing that you need, so, because I'll show you later, but I brought my sunblock, and I just thinking there must be chemicals in there that's actually blocking my skin from getting the nutrients that it needs, but I think it all comes together with diet, and because I have kidney problems as well, they say to keep yourself hydrated, so I think keeping myself hydrated is another key thing as well. So
Absolutely.
Just doing all these things to protect yourself from the sun's rays, and just doing it in moderation, I think that's the key too. So
and getting your water maybe a little more fortified, putting some stuff in your water that mint actually is a good digestive aid, isn't it? It helps you digest things.
Yeah.
And cucumbers is people always put cucumbers on their eyes when their eyes are all puffy.
Yeah,
I have no idea why, but I just see people lying in spas with slices of cucumber on their eyes. There's got to be something to that, isn't there? Does it take away the puffiness?
It helps, absolutely.
Really? So if you put it in your water, maybe it'll take away my puffiness.
Yeah.
If I drink enough of it.
Yeah, you gotta have enough, yeah.
Even just, lemon water or a pinch of sea salt in water, that's true. Gatorade is real sea salt, not table salt, but sea salt is electrolytes, has over 80 trace minerals.
Wow.
So, coconut water is another alternative. Again, just any way you can get more liquids into the system. But I will gladly take a look at your sunscreen because I'll be able to point out some of the XYZs and the chemicals.
Because it's a pretty strong one too. So
bottom line, if you can't pronounce it, then do not absorb it.
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I use that as a benchmark for a lot of things. Pick up a food, and as they say in the holistic nutrition world, you shouldn't be reading labels, you should be reading recipes. But when you do read a label, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay, so what about those products that you slather all over your body to give you a tan when you don't have one? So almost like a skin dye. Are they any good, or is there any such thing as natural skin dyes?
Right. Well, you might be asking a biased person because I come from a purist point of view, but I don't see that there is much benefit other than the aesthetics of it all. I think that, some of the health food stores are coming around and giving you healthier options than some of the conventional ones, but anything that's going to artificially stain your skin cells for over a 24-hour period, to me, cause a little bit of a red flag in my mind. And my question is, would I put that on my own body? Would I want to absorb that? And the answer is no. So I don't recommend it to people that I love. And if, I have cancer clients as well who ask me, what about this hair dye and what about this tanning solution?
Right.
And I'll say, what? Let me read the ingredients. And again, it's always about pinpointing certain things and questioning them and Googling them and linking them to being a carcinogen and saying, do you think there could be, a sensitivity here because you already have symptoms of cancer manifesting in your body? Then we really want to eliminate those things that have a lot of XYZs, and they have now been scientifically linked to cancer-causing agents. So the less exposure we have to these things, the better. And the more nutrients we have in our system, the better. And eliminating these toxins is not always as easy as it sounds. That a lot of these things have a complex molecular structure, and even detoxing them requires an effort. We have 2 phases of detox, 1 and 2. And detox phase 1 requires certain foods, and detox phase 2 requires certain foods. And then you, of course, have to move your body a little and flush out the toxins. And in some cases, chelate the toxins. For example, heavy metals do not leave the system unless they are bound to another molecule, chelated, and removed from the body. You also need a methyl group in order to remove toxins from the system. Every time a toxin leaves, it has to be bound or chelated to a methyl group. So we're spending too many methyl groups. We don't have enough nutrients. We're running on a low gas tank. That's why we're bioaccumulating more toxins than we can actually eliminate. So there are definite detox protocols that are part of an overall healthy lifestyle. Every once in a while, I'll detox. People ask me how often. My answer varies depending on how I feel. However, I would say quarterly is a really great place to start. And it doesn't have to be a whole month detox. It can be a week of eliminating chemicals, toxins, processed foods, just being mindful of what you eat. And then as you continue to detox, you can go further and further into deeper cleansing, candida, heavy metal, parasite, fat cell, arterial wall cleansing. There's so many different detoxes. They're all so very worthwhile to help your bodies, just maintain.
But slowly. You don't do all these detox all at the same time, because you'll actually make yourself sick.
That's right.
It's just a shock to the system.
Too much of a shock. So always start where you're at and aim for more.
Okay. Good words of advice.
Very good words of advice.
So, anyway, we're going to take a little break. We'll come back after our break with more talk about natural sunscreens and how to protect yourself from the sun. This time we'll talk about protecting you from the sun from the inside out. And on the note of sun, how about Lighthouse with sunny days?
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah. Sunny days. Ain't nothing better in the world than lying in the sun with Whistle Radio.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey everyone, this is Lil J. Join me every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern for the Block Party. A 2-hour journey of the best in the Canadian underground dance music scene, featuring tracks and DJ mixes from Canada's emerging artists, from the disco hits of the 70s to the latest dance floor fillers. No lineups or cover charges, it's your weekly free access to the beats that are packing dance floors in Canada and around the world. The Block Party, Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on 102.9 Whistle FM.
You're listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Fresh Waves is a fascinating and refreshing talk show bringing you new ideas, great stories, and terrific conversation. You can listen to us every Wednesday at 10 and Fridays at 10 on Whistle FM, 102.9 in Stouffville, and whistlefm.com on the internet or your smartphone. You can also get us at freshwaves.ca for all of our podcasts. You're listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Fresh Waves is a fascinating and refreshing talk show bringing you new ideas, great stories, and terrific conversation. You can listen to us every Wednesday at 10 and Fridays at 10 on Whistle FM, 102.9 in Stouffville, and whistlefm.com on the internet or your smartphone. You can also get us at freshwaves.ca for all of our podcasts. Now let's get back to the show. And we're back. We're eating fresh green peas, and we're talking about sun and the beautiful aspects of sun. Sun is, I personally believe, and I can't speak for everybody in the world, but for me, sun is wonderful. I love the sun. I like the way sunshine makes me feel awake and alive. I like the way it just brightens up the day. The coldest winter day, as long as it's sunny, I'm good to go.
Yeah, you feel better.
Strap on my snowshoes and off I go. In the summertime, I don't hide under a tree from 12 till 3. I honestly don't. I don't lie out in the sun and bake, but I'm outside doing things, working in the garden. I'll put my hat on.
But that doesn't mean I'm not getting a bit of sun anyway.
I think the phased exposure is very important, and because obviously we want to prevent the burn. And
Okay, so the burn is the most detrimental, is it not?
it is detrimental. It takes a lot of repair energy for your body to replenish after a burn, for sure. So, but everything in moderation. So, I mean, as the season starts, you want to head out into the sun a little earlier than high noon, say 10, 11, expose your body for a little bit. And when I say for a little bit, less than 20 minutes, you're in and out of the sun. At this point, I'm not putting anything on my body, potentially other than coconut oil or maybe even a base of aloe vera. I like to put aloe vera on my skin before the sun as well, because it plumps up the skin cells, and when the skin cells are hydrated, they're much less likely to burn. So
Okay.
this is how I do it, but I always switch it up, and I like to rotate. I said red raspberry is wonderful, so is aloe vera, so is avocado oil and macadamia oil.
Now, would those oils have any SPF factor, or are they in? I've seen oils like that used to attract the sun.
It's interesting.
Suntan
Yes.
oils, they used to call them.
That's
They
right.
They're hard to find now.
That's right. Yeah, it's not so common now.
Yeah. What you'll find with these oils is that you will still tan, but you won't burn unless you overexpose your body. So it is hard to qualify that, yes, indeed, there's an SPF on an avocado or a macadamia nut, because essentially that's where the oils are derived. But it's also safe to say that when you eat these foods and are hydrated, that you're much less likely to burn. Speaking of sunscreening your body from the inside out. So
Okay.
when I wake up in the morning and I'm trying to phase my body to exposure, that I don't necessarily have to put anything on my skin in limited amounts of time, because I'm eating a diet rich in omegas, and omega-3s are really important, that fatty membrane to protect your skin cells. And then also, when you have those components in your diet, that you actually maintain your tan longer. And that's another thing that I'm noticing. I don't burn, and my tan stays a heck of a long time. And it doesn't fade as fast because of the melanin stores in my skin that I'm training, and all of the other nutrients that are necessary for the conversion of the sun's rays into harmless heat for your body. You can maintain those longer, and that also means that vitamin D is in your system for longer.
Oh, isn't that neat?
So all in all, when you're doing it from an internal approach and, topically using all natural ingredients, oils that have these capabilities, it's just, you're never going to find an oil, macadamia or avocado oil with an SPF. They can't quantify that because it's all natural. You can't patent it. So I have to be careful about what I say to people using all natural oils, because there is no actual number to quantify this is an SPF 20. I can say it might be an equivalent to a 20, but that basically means you have 40 minutes in the sun before you have to get out, because your skin will burn.
Right.
So it just allows for a certain time period in the sun where you don't have to worry. And then after that time period, you either have to get out of the sun, rehydrate, or reapply.
Okay.
So it's slightly a different protocol with some of these natural ingredients, and you don't have any waterproof, all natural sunscreens, because the proofing agent in itself is a chemical, is a synthetic. I think it's a trimethicone, and it coats the skin.
Right, it would have to in order for it to be waterproof.
Yeah.
And then what is it doing to your skin? Because your skin is supposed to breathe. If you put
That's
something like that
right.
on, your skin actually can't breathe.
Yeah.
So not only are you blocking the respiratory function, but the body also, the pores are meant to secrete and absorb. And so when that process is blocked, it does neither. So the skin is meant to absorb the sun rays,
Right.
meant to absorb
Take it all in,
nutrients, and with that, we'll call it like cellophane wrap
Yes.
around
It's
it,
like
that
wrapping yourself in
nothing
cellophane.
goes in and nothing goes out. If the body also needs to sweat, keep in mind the skin is a major detox organ. Sweating is never just water. It's water bound with a water-soluble toxin leaving the system.
Right.
And so those toxins are not able to leave the system. So they recirculate.
Oh no.
So it's
That
kind of a
doesn't sound like a good
double-edged
thing.
sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want our pores to breathe, we want to absorb, we want to secrete. That's the function and the physiology of the skin.
It makes more sense when you understand it from the perspective that you're talking about. Then you can make more logical decisions. Unfortunately, nobody learns this stuff in high school. So you go out into the world and you say, oh, some advertisement tells me that I need to buy a sunscreen and it should be waterproof, and there's all these people playing volleyball on a beach, so I'm going to all of a sudden turn into an athlete. I'm going to look like they do, and I won't get a burn. So all in all, I'm thinking that's pretty effective marketing. But it can be a load of malarkey.
And in those ads, they're also drinking, X name brand of pop, right?
Pop or
Of course,
electrolytes that they don't need, with 37 grams of sugar attached to those
And food
electrolytes.
coloring.
Yeah. All the bad stuff.
Yeah, so all in all, it's not a good thing.
Well, just think about if you're out there for so long, and because you are isolating the the UVB from being absorbed, and normally your skin would burn after a certain amount of time to tell your body, get out of the molten mass.
Right.
Then you're not burning, you're turning off the skin's innate communication mechanisms with you. So naturally your skin would burn, as if to say you've had enough exposure. And because you're not burning, you are definitely overexposing the skin, which is ultimately going to lead to premature thinning of the skin, becoming more phytosensitive long term. So meaning as you age, you will have less capacity to interact healthily with the sun for extended periods of time, which is part of our dynamic presence being here on Earth. We need the interaction with the sun.
We do,
It is the maker of our mornings and the ruler of our days.
Right. So it makes sense that we need to figure out a nice way of interacting with it.
Yeah.
And part of that is common sense. If you see the little kids out there, you have a watch or whatever, or you just look at them and they're all pink, time to come in.
Yeah,
Take a
that's
little
enough,
break
yeah,
from
right.
the sun. Come on under the trees and let's play something under here.
Yeah.
Get out of the water, because even though your body's underwater, your face isn't.
That's it. Yeah, you're still getting exposed. Yeah.
I actually floated around on my back once in Jamaica talking to some of my cousins, and had my hands and my feet out when I was floating on my back. I burnt my face, the tops of my hands, and the tops of my feet. The rest of me is underwater.
So then there's something true to water and not burning where the water is present, which is why if I'm out there for extended periods of time with the spritzes,
Yes.
you can pull that spritz out once every 20 minutes, spray yourself down, and basically where the water is present on your skin in little beads, you are protected, because the water will then absorb the rays and evaporate, and as soon as it evaporates, then it's onto your skin
okay.
again. So constantly spraying yourself, or conversely putting the water inside your body, always having a water bottle accessible with you whenever you are being exposed to the sun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to take another break. But when we get back with Carley, we're going to give you some tips of actual foods that can help from the inside out. And a little bit of guidelines as to what we can do. A little bit of a sunblock package as opposed to sunscreen.
Right. Yeah.
A sunblock. I don't know.
Sun care.
Sun
Sun-
management.
yeah, that's
There
a good
you
way
go.
to put it. Yeah.
Sun
There you go.
care. Sun management. See, we should be
Yes,
marketing our own stuff.
You're listening to Fresh Waves. Now let's get back to our guest, Carley Simandl.
We're back. We are in front of a big plate of fresh peas, talking about eating good food
That's
and
right.
foods that may help us protect our skin from the sun.
Yes.
Even though we know from our conversation that we need to have exposure to the sun.
We do. It's
It's
important.
good for us.
Very
It's what's supposed to be. We were never put on this earth to live in the shade. We were here to always interact with the sun. It's just how to do it wisely. We've entered an age now where we get bombarded with a lot of media that's not necessarily true to us. It's trying to sell a product for them, and we need to keep that in mind. So when we think about how to deal with the marketing that we see, think first that person, that commercial, that advertisement, that blurb on the internet is trying to sell a product. Deal with that thought. Then say, is that a product that I want to put on my body, on my skin? Is it good for me? Because in the end, you have to be true to yourself, not true to Johnson & Johnson or Procter & Gamble or any of the big companies who are making lots of money.
Yeah.
So
brilliant marketing.
They have brilliant marketing. Fantastic. And some of their products are great, but you have to know what's good for you.
That's right.
So what can we do to eat? What specific things can we eat that help our bodies protect us from the sun?
I think we just want to really keep it simple for ourselves, and it always boils back down to whole foods.
No pun intended.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So think if the food is natural, alive, and good quality. That's a really good place to start. You know, minimizing all the processed junk that we're not meant to process in the first place. You know, if it's been over processed, it's going to be much harder for us to break down. So whole foods is always a really great place to start.
Right.
But some foods more in particular that have particular benefits for sunning and proper, protection for our skin as an organ would be, I know I've said good fats before, so I can be a little bit more specific, but avocados and nuts and seeds. For example, Brazil nuts have a very high amount of selenium, and selenium is very, very important to help keep an oil blanket, a sebum blanket, which is our pH level on the skin. So we're meant to have a little bit of an oil protection on our skin that keeps our pH in balance and bacteria out of our skin. So we're acidic in nature, and that's part of the selenium function. So all these key nutrients, again, from certain foods, whole foods, have all of these benefits for us. Another good example of an omega-3 that I like, a lot of people will take a fish oil. I actually recommend going more to the bottom of the food chain. Fish eat algae, and algae is the source. So I prefer my omega-3 supplement from an algae. Algae is pretty incredible because in the environment it is subjected to the sun, and once it's had its balance of UVA, UVB rays, that it actually secretes sulfur, and the sulfur rises, and as soon as it interacts with the oxygen from the environment, that it creates a cloud formation right over the algae to protect itself. So, algae is the base of all living things in the ocean, and it actually produces more oxygen in our air than the trees on land.
Wow.
So
Really?
that's a fact. So algae is a remarkable, it's a food. So again, whole foods. And I take the algae oil. I also put blue-green algae into my smoothies. Any and every way you can take it, then go for it. But I think that it's also important to keep in mind land grown as well as what comes from the ocean as a complete part of nutrition. So I'm really big into sea vegetables and seaweeds as well. They have a lot of our trace minerals that keep us protected from the sun. And okay, so other foods, for example, or nutrients, one that I'll make note of is sulfur. Anything very high in sulfur is going to protect the skin. Things like garlic and onions have quite a bit of sulfur, red onions in particular. Another nutrient that I really like is silica. Silica is known to really fortify our collagen. Now, collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body. It's not just found in the skin, it's also found in the bones, the joints, the ligaments, the tissues, the muscles, and then furthermore, our skin. So when we have silica in the system, it supports all of those things. So it's wonderful. So I make a silica tea every morning out of horsetail and nettle.
Really?
Those are two things that, you know, I'm brewing all the time on my stove top. I'm using fresh spring water. I'm steeping it at a low heat for a long period of time, and I'm not just bringing it to a quick boil because it doesn't fully potentiate that way. So, and also anything high in silica is beautifying. Hair, nails, skin. Silica will help the hair grow thicker, faster, fuller, the nails as well. You'll be less prone for breakage. So not only do you get, you know, more protection, but it's also the beautifying aspects as well, which is a win-win.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, what about tomatoes? I've heard that tomatoes are good as a sun protector. Eating them, not spreading them on your body.
Or either or, yeah. We could do a tomato face mask or something. I'm sure the enzymes would do some good. Yeah, tomatoes, again, like a plethora of antioxidants, which are really key factor in fighting free radicals. And again, part of the exchange of turning the heat waves, the UVA into harmless heat waves. So that's what antioxidants are used for, and tomatoes have a lot of them with the lycopene. So yeah, all whole foods, all sun-grown foods are going to be good for that exchange because they've had that photosynthesis take place, and that's the best energy exchange. So,
So when people are bringing out a lot of hot dogs and potato salads in the summertime, you may want to go easy on the hot dogs and load up on the vegetables and things that are available. Nice salads in the summer. It's a perfect time to have salad. You don't have to heat up your kitchen in the evening. You can have a nice salad and fill it with all kinds of great vegetables and try all kinds of new things. I actually had a crazy new thing.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Check this out.
Okay.
I had a soup that was made with radish tops.
Huh.
ooh,
Wow.
that's interesting.
Now, I have never eaten a radish top in my life. I think those are for rabbits and farm animals. But radishes, of course, my parents have grown radishes their whole life. My dad's the kind of guy who eats a radish right off the stem. You know, he just sits there and gnaws on a radish. They're fire hot. I don't like spicy food, so that didn't appeal to me. But this soup was made with a little bit of potato and leeks and radish tops all pureed together. It was fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, that would taste good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Wow.
Very, very good. So how's that?
Yeah,
Something
absolutely.
new and
That's a
different.
great idea. Yeah.
And cold summer soups. There's fabulous
That's
recipes
right.
out there for cold summer soups.
Yeah.
Just
It
going
doesn't
to
have to
say
be
raw
so- Yeah.
is
Yeah.
wonderful in the season of summer, that when you engage in eating more raw foods that are lighter, it allows the body to actually detox more. In the summer when you're sweating, it's a perfect time to do so. Actually, that's why citrus is in season for the summer, because it actually cools your internal organs and creates more of a sweating reaction. So eating raw in the summer is actually part of the, eating fresh, eating local, eating seasonally. You get all the benefits. So cold soups and gazpachos and getting creative with your blender, and
Making some good things.
that's right.
And of course, you can do all that kind of cooking in the evening because a soup that sits overnight in the fridge is more flavorful anyway. So.
That's true.
And
Yeah,
make
it's always better
yourself
the
some.
next day.
They're not really teas, because remember when we had James on? James told us all about what true teas are, and there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, that's
Everything else is a tincture or an
Ooh.
herbal conconction.
Oh, no
Not
kidding.
true
right.
tea.
It's not a real thing, yeah.
So I'm using the word tea loosely, but I actually loosely just stuff. I have an infuser for my water. I just stuff it filled with mint leaves, fill the whole container up with water, let it sit overnight, and you have the most refreshing ice mint tincture.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds so good.
It's just
Yeah, it sounds really
tea.
good.
It's just
Yeah.
mint and water. It's just fantastic. And I do know that you can throw in cucumber. I'm not a big cucumber fan.
Oh, I love cucumber.
I think I'm the only person
too.
on planet Earth who doesn't like honey or cucumbers.
Really? Okay. Oh, I like both of those.
No.
Yeah.
Me too.
They're really
Yeah.
good.
And they're good for you.
Yeah.
They are very
good
good,
and
yeah.
good for you.
So if we're eating things like a nice cold
Gestapo. Or,
gazpacho.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Gestapo.
I can
It's
see
not
either.
something else. Yeah, it has
Yes,
a
we don't
very
like.
negative connotation.
Yes. But gazpacho is good because you've got your tomatoes in there. It calls for onions. There's chopped up little bits of cucumber and all kinds of different
Garlic.
things. Garlic.
Garlic is very good.
So
You got your
all of a
sulfur
sudden,
compounds.
Yes.
Here you are having this wonderful soup that's protecting you from the sun.
Yeah.
Isn't that an amazing thing?
Yeah. Get a good fat in there. Get
Yeah.
a little olive oil.
And half of us don't even realize it. You could actually mix a little avocado oil in because avocado oil tastes good. There you go. Okay, we're learning all kinds of fabulous
We
things
sure are.
this morning.
Well, that's it for today. Join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on Whistle FM and anytime you like on freshwaves.ca. We have all kinds of fascinating guests and fascinating topics. Each week, we share new information, stories, and ideas. Thanks for tuning in, and do tune in again. This is Bren Masson signing off for Fresh Waves. Have a fabulous day, everyone.